saying you'll get visible after things totally calm down, right? Meanwhile, your calendar is feral, like a crazy cat, all over the place, colors, you can't even remember what they are anymore. Your inbox is totally on fire. Yeah, you wish you could set fire to it. And later has been lying to you for years because you know what? The truth is, you are the best kept secret, my friend. You're busy doesn't equal visible. Hard work doesn't magically broadcast itself across the radio waves. Nope. That's why the Brew and Stew Media Spotlight exists. That's right. A collaboration between Nicole Borghi and Colleen Stubbs. One booking, two podcasts, no pitching, no chasing, no pretending you enjoy the outreach. We know you don't. Nobody does. You show up, you talk like the authority you already are. Your message gets heard on purpose to an aligned audience. Stop waiting. Stop hiding behind the busy button and book your Brew and Stew Media Spotlight package now, because staying invisible is a choice and you're not going to do it anymore. You're going to be visible. You're going to be influential. Scan the QR code. Make that choice for the Brew and Stew package. Busy, booked, exhausted. Your inbox is screaming at you like a siren. Your calendar is still feral. Still calling yourself visible and you're just the best kept secret? Turns out I was right there with you, my friend. Wasn't getting seen, was just the best kept secret. Wasn't getting heard, definitely kind of getting paid. But here, the magic, my friend. It's a collaboration between Colleen Stubbs and Nicole Borghi. The Voice Lab on the school platform shows you how to use podcast spotlights, summit stages, and simplified, yeah, that's right, simple outreach systems so your visibility actually works. Get seen, get heard, join the free Voice Lab on the school platform, and you're going to get it all. Because if you're working this hard, someone else should know about it. Scan the QR code today.
Welcome to a world of unforgettable experiences and immersive marketing. Transform your events into extraordinary moments that captivate your audience. Whether it's corporate gatherings, product launches, or community celebrations, our immersive marketing solutions elevate your events to new heights. Immerse your attendees in a world of audiobooks and podcasts tailored to your brand. Engage their senses and leave a lasting impression. Explore the power of storytelling with our curated podcast content. From insightful discussions to entertaining narratives, we've got the perfect audio experience for your event. Ready to make your next event unforgettable? Scan the QR code now and book a complimentary immersive marketing call with our experts. Let's create memories together. Elevate your events with immersive marketing. Scan the code and let the magic begin.
Let's slow this down for a moment. Money feels overwhelming because no one ever really taught you how it works. When things feel confusing, it's natural to avoid them. That doesn't mean you've failed. You don't need to know everything. You just need to take the first step. That's what the consultation call is for. It's a calm, clear conversation where we look at where you are, where you want to go, and what steps actually make sense for you to build wealth. No pressure. No jargon. You're allowed to ask questions. You're allowed to feel unsure. And you're allowed to want a future that feels safe and secure. Schedule your consultation call. It's the first step toward achieving your dreams with someone who will walk you through it, one step at a time. Wealth with Valor. Clear guidance, steady progress, real peace of mind. Scan QR code to schedule your consultation with Valerie Smith. Let's take the first step together.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Happy Thursday. It's already Thursday. What is going on? All right, folks, we're glad you're here for another episode of the Voice Lab podcast. We're going to have a few little tips and tricks to share with you today, but check out our sponsors. And one of our new sponsors is Valerie Smith. We've got some good things going on. She's got some wealth and some great stuff and knowledge to share with you. She's been in business for a while. She's got the things going on. All right, so check that out.
We've got a few other things going on. If you guys haven't, get into the Voice Lab on the school platform. All the links will be below. Why? Because you're an entrepreneur and you want to get seen and heard and you want to simplify your systems. You want to get on a stage. 2026 is the year. Use the stage as a marketing tool. That's what you got to do. Use a stage as a marketing tool for you. We've got 3 stages going on, and if you get in there, we've got all kinds of groups. We've got some master classes, some masterminds, some workshops coming up to share with you. We want to give you a lot of value. We also have the caffeinated conversations on Monday, a great networking place. Get some referrals on the spot. That's the way to do it. And a few summits coming up as well. So we've got the Plot Twist, a gathering of authors coming in here. I want to get books, or hey, maybe you're looking for a publisher or an editor, maybe even a ghostwriter. That's coming up. All kinds of fun stuff coming up there. The Authority Code, it's for soul-led leaders, leadership. How do you influence your audience? How do you influence your groups? Even how do you influence your school platforms? It can be anything that you share influence in your tribe. And the third one, the third summit coming up, Revenge of the Nerdpreneur Summit. I know, guys, I'm an 80s baby. I cannot help myself. What is that all about? You know what? It's about AI and tech for your business. If you're an entrepreneur and you're really looking to influence your clients, your audience, because they are one and the same these days, we always have to get on the media. So that is part of your audience as well. You want to accelerate your business with the tools and the systems and the strategy coming forward, and be ready for that. There's going to be some virtual reality in there too. I'm going to share that, so no more tech confusion. And we want you to move forward and prosper. All right. So what do we got today there, Colleen?
Today we are talking a little bit more about how to follow through with our conversations, how to change those conversations to conversions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Little coughing there this morning, so I was grabbing my coffee. But yes, we want to change our conversations and move the needle in our business.
And we want to do it in a non-salesy way. This is the trick. But the thing is that when you look at the entire process, and I think this is the problem that most people have, is that they just take one step of it. They're like, I need to send sales emails. And so they send sales emails. I need to get on stage. So they get on stage. I need to create content. So they create content. But what happens is there's a breakdown in the flow, right? And so if you do the entire process, if you get on the stage, share your message, share your story, share your offer, build relationships, get on stages where you can build relationships, where they have active Q&A, where they encourage you to interact with the attendees, right? And then take what you did on stage and create your content out of that, right? So it's all going to be consistent across the board here. And then also continue those conversations in your emails, in your nurture sequence follow-up for all the summit attendees. You've got that going on. And so it's just a continuation of what you shared on stage, of what you're sharing in the social media world. And when you're just continuing the conversation, it loses the salesiness, because you're actually building relationships. And that's key, is we want to make sure that we're following the entire workflow. Don't think that you need to just jump in one time and be like, I need to send a sales email. No, you actually don't. What you need to do is start building relationships, position yourself, put yourself in places where you're getting seen, you're getting heard, and you're able to build relationships. Then those conversations lose the salesy, right? And you're just building relationships. After you begin building those relationships, then people understand what you're about. They know what you do. For instance, when I bought Legal Shield, I bought it from Lynn Lionhood, right? And I was friends with her for a long time before I even knew she sold Legal Shield.
Right.
When I found out that she sold Legal Shield, it made perfect sense to me to purchase from her, because the know, like, and trust factor was already in place. We already had a relationship. And so that's the goal here, is to teach people how to integrate the entire process. Don't pick and choose. So many people pick and choose and wear themselves out. But what do you think, Nicole? Do you agree? Do you think that that's what's happening?
I really do. Here's why. I see a lot of times, and I know when I'm watching different creators and taking different classes, and listening to what people are saying, it's engagement and it's a trust recession. There's definitely some circles that I run in, and we're talking about marketing and engagement. It's huge right now. People are, and this is what we're trying to do too with the Voice Lab and networking and adding the groups, is to share with people to guide them back into that engagement, right? You're it's not necessarily that you're trying to build, and if you're looking for clients, it's not necessarily that you're trying to build the bestie, but you're trying to have a professional relationship where you can trust someone. And there's a difference. It's like, a parent and a kid. You shouldn't really be their best friend. You have to have some type of discipline in there, right? So there needs to be a little bit of a variance there. You don't want to take them out to a bar when they're 16. That's probably not the way to go. But when you're looking at engagement, what's the next step? Are you talking to these people? Do you know about them? Do you know what they do? And I think that's very important, not only in trust, but also for boundaries. If you want to have healthy boundaries and you don't want your clients or your potential clients to come at you and take over, you don't want them to, extend the call. You don't want them to, go into another 20, 30 minutes, always reaching out to you 24 hours with problems or issues that don't necessarily have to do with the business that or the product or the service that you provide. That's not always healthy. And if you do that, then you're not showing your worth and you're not stepping up to the plate. So you establish those relationships through the engagement and the people that you're working with, but it also makes a difference of, do you understand your client type? I think that has a lot to do with it. And especially in the virtual realm, are you able to identify people's body language, listen to the tonality of their voice? Have you talked to them enough? Are you looking at that? I mean, I studied that for years as part of my career. So I think it has a lot to do with that too. And are you able to catch the message? Or are you so drowned in the other junk that's going on in your life that you're bringing that to your business? So I think it helps when we run in those circles where we start to trust and talk to people enough that we can start to see when to talk to them about business, or when we can help them, or when we just need to support them, right?
Right. And I think that part of what you're alluding to is a leadership issue, right? And so in the relationships that you're building, you need to make sure that you are positioning yourself as a leader. And how do you do that? Well, number one, you respond first. So you reach out first. So if you're on a summit, you need to be the one to reach out to them to say, hey, I saw that you were a summit attendee. This is what I spoke about. This is a question that came up. I'm not sure if you caught that this question came up. This is how I positioned the answer, whatever that looks like, right? But make sure that you're the one setting the tone for the relationship. Make sure that you're establishing guidelines and boundaries, like reaching out first, and then also setting the follow-up. Okay, I'm going to reach out to you again in a week. Or if you'd like to jump on a one-on-one call, here's my calendar link, right? And so it's really establishing yourself as the leader in the relationship. And you have to be a little bit bold. I was thinking this morning, so many people aren't doing things. Why are you not doing the thing? Are you not doing the thing because you're afraid of failure? Are you not doing the thing because you're afraid of success? So people need to quit talking to their AI, quit talking to their spouse, quit perfecting it. As our friend said the other day, Kimberly, perfectionism is just procrastination. Let's just get on, just do it. And if you fail, guess what? Nobody cares. Not a single person is going to think in 6 months, oh, Colleen failed at this. Not a single person cares that much about me. And so it's really positioning yourself as a leader, taking the risk and putting yourself out there, but it needs to be done in a consistent manner so that when people see you, and that's also a part of branding, when they see you, it's always coming back to the same story, the same storyline, the same service that you're providing, that kind of thing. And so I think that's super, super important. And then also, our friend Carl Lucci always says too, is don't sell, ask. So just ask questions, lead with asking questions. And that really puts you in a position where they think that you are interested in them, where you are finding out more information about them. You're understanding what drives them, what they desire, who they want to be on the other end of your service after they've gone through your process, whatever that might look like. And so that's another thing to think about when we're trying to remove the salesiness in the process.
Yeah, and that those are definitely some golden keys and great takeaways. But I noticed that people, and I've heard this over the last few years, is people were telling people, stop telling people, you guys, it's over. Let's just put it to the side, stop doing it. They were telling people not to do that. They were telling people, let's talk about your cat or your dog or your favorite color. Nothing to do with nothing, nothing to do with connection, nothing to do with professionalism, nothing to do with business. Don't sell to people. People were taking it like, hey, never sell to somebody. You're not telling, and that's exactly what Carl says. Don't tell. You're asking. Ask people, are they ready? And Myron Golden talks about that, and without being so crazy out there to say, hey, you're not pushing. It's a way to persuade people, to guide them as a leader with what do they want, what do they need, and that's a big deal too, is to really not push people. But the other thing is to guide people where you want to go. And that's the difference between begging somebody, pitch slapping them, and then being a leader. A leader is totally different. And that's where, like on the authority code, it's for people that are soul led, that have that passion, and if you're passionate about something, there's going to be a few hiccups, there's going to be a few fails. So would you rather do a job that you're not passionate about? Because passion is a bit of pain too. It's growth. And if you're truly finding your passion, it's not going to be perfect all the time. So you're going to get some road bumps and hit some potholes along the way. And
Well,
and seeing that, right?
right. And I think, success is seldom comfortable. I'm just going to say that. It does buy some luxuries and it does buy some peace of mind sometimes. But the truth is that the struggle is always there. No matter how successful you are, people still struggle. And so trying to position yourself as a leader, following through as a leader, these things are super important. But I think one of the tips and things that I like to practice, and I'd love to hear what you do, Nicole, but one of the things that I like to do is when I'm meeting with people is to say, if one thing could change in your business this week and make a huge difference, what would that be? And then another one I like to say is like, how can I help you make a difference in your business this week? And not that you jump on that. Like if they say, if I could just figure out how to create a landing page and an email sequence that all connects, it would be perfect world. Well,
Right.
and it's not necessarily the time to jump on that, but it's like it's a soft entry, right? And so you can talk about that a little bit, but then that gives you something to put in your follow-up email when you're coming back and saying, hey, by the way, I do have a service that provides that. If you want to take a look, this is one of the ones that I created or something like that. Or even maybe you didn't notice it, but you went through my nurture email sequence. And that's how they're meant to be professional when it just happens in the background and the clients don't necessarily notice. But given that, Nicole, what's something that you try to do that lets you learn more about what the person you're meeting with needs and how your service might fit their bill?
So I really ask them questions, kind of like, kind of along that too, is like, what project do you want to start that you haven't yet? What stages, for me, it's all about visibility. What is, depending upon where we're at in the conversation, it's really kind of like, you know, um, what are you looking at to grow and lead your tribe? So what are you leveraging with your tribe and with your group? How do you leverage it? And I want to know really about their business. So what do they do in their business that makes them more engaging? And really, even what frustrates you about lead gen. And that's absolutely gets into being on the stage and then going into the background and the systems of, are you engaging people? And a lot of people um, have gone into business and they're in the 1 to 3 years or some of them are even 5+ years, and they have all these leads, and then they have a CRM. They have no idea what to do, and they've waited for that someday that it's 2, 3 years ago that they've contacted their list. And it's like if you keep just piling on, that dust cloud's going to get big, right? That dust is going to build up. It's we either need to, and a lot of times I think it's start fresh. Start fresh today because today's a new day and begin at zero. Maybe you can save some of that stuff, but at what point do you move forward and not hold on to, oh, I spent all this money and I talked to all these people. Well, today's a fresh day. And I
This is
really like
true.
to start people there if they're in frustrated mode. If they're not frustrated, just like a gal I talked to yesterday, she's moving and shaking with her people and her tribe, and I'm always interested. Are you doing live, or do you do virtual? Or are you doing virtual reality? And asking those kind of questions, so I can say, here's what I do, and like you stated, you do that in the follow-up email. Hey, here's what I do, and here's what I like to do. And asking those business questions. You want to know what they do. It's like asking another athlete what their practice is in the morning, right? You want to know what that ritual is.
Yeah, so many things to unpack there, Nicole. Let's start with, you said start fresh. So I had a client last year that said she hadn't reached out to her contacts in 3 years. She had just gotten busy with her corporate job and just kind of let it slide by. And so she was of the mindset like, let's just throw it away and start over. And I said, why not reach out? Why not send out an email? Let's be real. Let's explain what happened and why you're back in the scene and what you're doing, and maybe even offer a discount if they want to purchase your product. Because she was creating a product and selling it over and over, different patterns and things like that. And so she was like, I don't know, I just haven't heard from him and they probably won't respond. I said, and if they don't, then you can go ahead and put in your email that if they're not interested, to please unsubscribe. And that's okay too. And I think that she did get some unsubscribes, but it was like 30%. And she had hundreds on her email list. And she also got sales. So
Awesome.
I'm glad that she didn't completely throw it away, right? That's huge. And then on to the other point where you're saying, like, sometimes you sit down with um, people in more of a collaboration form where they're maybe on your verticals, right? And so you're saying, what can we learn here? I sat down the other day with somebody who, in a room, with people who had built multiple businesses that were multiple millions of dollars profit yearly, and other people that were just beginning. It was such a wide variety of people. And I kind of just watched for a minute. And one of the questions they asked right off the bat was, how's your business going? And I had somebody in there go, oh, it's just fabulous. Since I came online, my business just exploded. And I knew that that wasn't truth in practice. Like, I knew that that person's business hadn't exploded. But why do we do that instead of taking the opportunity to say, look, I'm actually struggling with my lead gen, or my marketing sucks right now. And what I'd really like from this is to walk away knowing what you know. What have been the greatest lessons that you learned in lead gen? Taking advantage of being able to talk to people in the same space and learn from them. Always being able to learn. And that sets leaders apart. Once you stop learning, you stop growing. Your business absolutely stops growing when you stop learning. So you've got to be open to learn, to ask questions, and then, of course, to fail. It isn't that big of a deal to fail. I don't feel like it is. I feel like it's perfectly fine to fail. It's what you do after the failure. So do you sit there and boo-hoo? Do you unpack your suitcase and your world has crashed and you can't do business anymore because you failed at one part you were trying to do? Or do you dissect it and learn and say, where's the break here? What didn't work? And how can I improve it or make it work better? Why did this not succeed? And then take that and use those bricks as foundation to move forward. And so it's a big process, right?
It is. It's a big process, but that's also being honest as a business owner. Hey, I have this list, it's not working. There's an honesty instead of an excuse. So when you're working with someone and you've built that trust, that not only as the person with the client, right? You're the business, and the client too. As a client, it is our responsibility to be as truthful as we can in that moment and say, look, I had an email campaign. It didn't work. Here's why A, B, and C. We can unpack that. And sometimes it can be stressful for people. I don't know why, but they get really attached to it. It's an inanimate object. We don't need to get into the atoms and the vibes, but basically it's an inanimate object. You're starting from fresh, and these people honestly know it happens.
Right.
They know it happens. It's okay. There's so many emails. How do you stand out? So you move forward and say, hey, I'm starting fresh and this is what it is. Don't hold on to it. Don't have so much emotion attached to an inanimate object. You've got other wonderful things as a business owner that you can do. And you know what? You're busy being busy, and you're putting so much emotion and time into something that you could be doing creatively, or you'd have more time for speaking, you'd have more time for being with your family, you'd have more time to go take a walk, go to the gym. If you're spending 3 hours, worried about what's over here, and I've done it. I'm speaking from experience. If you're worried about what's over here and you're stressing about that, you're spending so much time, you're using your headspace. And again, that's that monkey mind kicking in. And does anybody care about it? No, just you're holding on to it. When
Yep.
we let it go and say, hey, I want to do good business and I want to trust the person doing it. And so it's huge to say, hey, I've got enough trust. I know this person. I've decided to work with them. And here's where you can be a leader truly in your business. I'm trusting them in this moment, and I'm going to take the leap, and I'm going to work with them, and I'm going to let them do what they do magically, and I'm gonna listen to their suggestions. And I think that's a big thing. How do we do that and persuade people instead of really, it's kind of pressure-free selling when we're talking to people, because whether we're on a stage or we're selling to them and doing a nurture sequence, or doing like you do your like a weekly journal, and I do a weekly kind of blog newsletter too. And when that's going out, it's kind of pressure free. It's just, hey, what's up? I have this offer for you. And knowing that they can buy or not, but if you don't tell them, they'll never know, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I love that. And what you were saying there about spending so much time on some things and not things that we love, not diving in where our creativity really is. So that is a huge motivating factor behind my business. I came online to I came online to help other women, midlife women, build both a business and a life that they're madly passionate about. I did this because I feel like, looking forward, I've got another 30 years. Looking behind me, I've got 55. I really kind of like who I am, and I want to enjoy the life that I'm building. I love my business too, but I want the balance to be there. And so I created the Simplified CEO systems so that I have a system in place that I can share with other midlife entrepreneurs that really takes things off their plate and gives them time freedom to build the life they love. And that's hugely important. But part of that too is that they have to understand that they need to get out of the way. They have to learn to automate, they have to learn to delegate, and they have to have faith in the choices that they make and trust themselves enough to make good decisions as to what should be automated and delegated. And then they have to just let go and go enjoy life a little bit more, because that's really where it's at. And even if you take your free time and spend it back into building relationships, because you really do need to be the face and voice of your business, and you need to make those connections and build those relationships. So behind Simplified CEO systems is a desire to really help midlife entrepreneurs have both the business and the lifestyle that they're madly passionate about. And so really working with you and collaborating with you, Nicole, bringing them on through the stage and teaching them how to get seen and heard, and how to take that content and turn it into social media content, how to process it through to their CRM and carry that workflow through. This is huge. This is like the foundation of my dream for my clients.
Yeah, it's really the full picture, right? If you went to Hollywood You would have to hire a PR person. You got to have a manager. You want to get on the set. You want to get on the stage. You're going to talk about your product. Let's say that you're putting your product. If you're taking this timer, and I'm Nicole, and I sell timers, and I want to get on Shark Tank, and I want to sell a bazillion timers, right? And I want to get with Kevin O'Leary, and I want him to buy my stuff and do cool things with it. I need to work on all that. There is a process, and you've got to hire a team of people to get on the stage. You've got to have the product ready because people see you, whether you fail or not getting on there. Even if you fail, people are going to look you up. They're gonna Google you. They're gonna look in their LLM. They're getting in there. They're gonna do a little search engine. They're gonna check you out. So whether you fail or not, people are gonna look for you. And that's marketing. What happens after? So if you get all up there, you hire this whole team of people, and then you don't have a team on the after. You're like, hey, I got on Shark Tank. I got in front of millions of people, and they didn't buy my stuff. You just got marketing. You just got a genius amount of marketing by just getting on the stage. You don't have to hire all those people. You just have to show up to a summit, get interviewed for a couple minutes, ask a few questions, share your talk, and then people want to know to find you. They want to be there. They've given you their email. So how easy and how really cheap? Because I mean, can you imagine all the millions of dollars that people spend for that team that you don't have to have because we have the magic of getting online. So it's easy to do. Before you start paying millions of dollars to a coach that probably shouldn't hire you and be honest with you unless, and I love this, I was in a workshop the other day and somebody said to me, yeah, hey, I actually told the person, hey, you've got a great business and a great business model here, but before you pay for my 10,000 or whatever dollar package, you need to work on the business first before you get here because you're going to be working so hard, you're not going to be able to continuously work in that manner. You're just going to fail extremely hard and never want to do this again. So it's really the honesty of what do you really need? You need to get on the stage, you need to get visible. And we've got 3 stages going on right now. I've got 3 stages, 3 summits for you, podcast, networking. We're offering you total value. Why? Because we're obviously passionate about it enough to get on the mic and share that in a podcast live to say, hey, this is what we have seen that works the best. It's the easiest. So it's a full, complete business model to do this. You can even build your own stage. That's the power of that. You don't want to share. You're like, hey, I don't really want to get on the stage with all these people, but for me, that's why I do the Done For You concierge service. You can have your own summit or workshop and have somebody do all the behind the scenes stuff, that kind of Wizard of Oz, all the video, the clips, and even if you want emails or social media, you get all that stuff. It's yours to keep. It's all your intellectual property that you're keeping. And now you're the expert because people are seeing you. People know you've done the summit. They want to hear from you. So it's really a process of doing this and driving it forward, because once you set this up, you can continuously do it. And if you think you could do it all yourself, then honestly, I want to ask, why hasn't it gotten done in the last 5 years?
That's a good question, but let's go back to the integrity of business too, because I have met with 3 potential clients. I'm sorry, recently. I've met with 3 potential clients recently and said, and these particular clients all fit this mold where they were overwhelmed by their back office and they wanted me to come in and create a new one. And I said that the thing is that if it's not broke, don't fix it. You just need a little bit of refining. You don't see where it's disconnected here, but I see that, and it will just take a few minutes to fix that. There's literally no reason to start all over. You've got that history of being seen and heard. You just have a couple things that need tweaked. And so obviously at a much lower cost point, I can just work with them and tweak just a couple things to make it get the flow that they need. And then also we're talking about getting on stage and using that stage time to create content, to be able to use it for our emails and things like that. The truth is, it is so simple. should be your story of your experience, the lessons you've learned, the things that you've learned and implemented that make you an expert in your field. And so this should be something that, as my story branding coach would say to me, she's going to come wake me up at 3 a.m. and ask me what my business is. I should be able to just tell her. And I'm like, well, first of all, you may get pew-pewed, but after you pew-pewed and I'm talking to you, I can obviously tell my story because I'm so passionate about it. I've been in business for 37 years. This is my ninth business I've built. There's nothing in business that's going to shock me. I've raised 4 kids, have 12, almost 14 grandkids. There's probably nothing in life that's going to shock me, right? So I know my story and being able to share it. And when people ask me about different parts of it, it's easy to do your content right there, to pick up from it, to say, yeah, those 80-hour weeks when I was missing out on my kids' activities. How about my poor daughter that had a sleeping pallet built in under my cash register at Heart and Home Scrapbooking?
Oh, wow.
I mean, I thought I was doing him such a service by keeping my kids with me, right? I homeschooled them. They were with me all the time or with their dad. And we are married. That sounded funny when I said that. We are married. All the things. But he was an independent tradesman. And so he could take the kids with him sometimes. And sometimes they would go with him. Our kids definitely learned to work. But looking back, I'm thinking that's not the quality they wanted in a mom. They wanted me to be able to lock the doors or leave somebody there running my business and go with them to their ball game. And I did.
But yeah. So how do you say, yeah, they wanted you there, but what kind of wonderful things did they learn by being part of that business?
They did. They did learn a lot. And I'm going to share a real kind of funny. Do you know what bunco is? This is an odd thing. Do you know what bunco is?
Isn't it like a weird game?
It's a dice game, I think. But we were living in southern Utah at the time, and I had a scrapbook store, and I was creating classes that I was holding for women at night, but they weren't filling up. I just wasn't really getting people coming. Like 2 or 3 people was all. And I put a lot of effort into the classes, and I really wanted to monetize them more. And so Bunko came to town, and I heard these women talking about they would come in and shop with me, and I'd hear them complaining that their husbands didn't want to babysit so they could go to Bunko, and everybody wanted to go to Bunko. And I think you buy if you're hosting Bunko, then you buy gifts for everybody, and whoever wins gets surprises. So there's a little money involved in it and whatever. But these women really wanted to do it. This is a very prominent, showy town, and everybody wanted to show how good gifts they could give and that kind of thing. So I thought to myself, you know what? I can babysit. My kids are here all the time anyways. And so I created children's classes at night, only on nights when Bunko was being held. And guess what? I had so many kids in my classes. I charged the same as I would if they were adults, and the adults got to go to Bunko. It was really the perfect solution. But I think in this business that when we're talking about getting on stages, so many people are like, I'm not ready. I'm scared. I don't know what to say. I just don't have it down pat. And that's the procrastination, right? Because here's the truth of the matter. If you know your story, if you know your business, if you have a true testimony of the solution that you provide, then getting on stage should be a no-brainer. You not getting on stage is because what? You're afraid you're going to fail? Is it just procrastination? Because you're going to lose. You have to take action and get on that stage. Present what you know in a manner that's easy for you and comes easy for you. That can be through an interview. It can be through a presentation, however you want that to be. But that also creates your content for your social media. It creates your content for your emails. It is the foundation of your business. And then just use the tools like Simplified CEO System to get that running smoothly in the background so that you can show up more and more and more on more and more stages and really get seen and heard. And that's what 2026 is about, building trust in relationships and getting seen and heard.
Well, that's so true. You want to get seen and heard. You want people to know you. You can buy a Facebook ad for several thousands of dollars and it's going out to an audience of nobody. You could buy an ad on YouTube. It's going out to an audience of nobody because it takes time to circulate it, see how people respond. Is this the right flavor? Are you getting the right data? And you can collect the data all day long. The point is to get out there. And right now, the needle that's getting pushed the most is content. If you get on the stage and you tell your story, what you know, don't tell your client's story. That's fine. People want to hear client testimonies later. They may want to say, hey, people want to hear, the audience wants to hear your reflection on how you worked with the client, not the client said I'm amazing. Well, that's always good. Pat yourself on the back. Now that your arms are tired, tell them people what results you got. They want to hear results. Hey, just like you had said, Colleen, the client was struggling because she had gotten busy in her corporate life. So she was coming back to that. This is the result you got. What do? People get to come on my stage and I hear that, hey, you know, wow, Nicole, I didn't have to do the heavy lifting. Why? Because I was behind the scenes doing all the video, getting it set up, training the speakers. That can be a headache for people. It's like herding cats with the speakers because, it's just getting everybody on time, getting the schedule together, the variables that go into that. You don't have to deal with a headache. And the other thing is all the tech. People don't always know the new tech or the upcoming tech or how to get on certain platforms, and you want to make sure that they're going to show up and that it's going to run smoothly. If you make your summit very crazy where there's tech involved and you haven't trained anybody, then your speakers are going to come in late. They might not show up. I mean, we had an event in January and there were some issues with Zoom and having to send out more emails, contact people on the phone, send out DMs if I could, and reach back out to people. Do you want to have to do that as a summit host, or do you want to stand there and shine? So it's really the to say, hey, you can come in and you can be here and you can show up on the stage, and the clients want to hear your story. That I did this with as a chairwoman of Confronting Domestic Violence. One of the first summits I held was in virtual reality. So I trained some, and of course, like you were saying earlier, Colleen, they were worried about getting on stage. They didn't want to be seen. And they come to some situations, a few of them, that still needed to be private. What was the best way to get them on stage? Come in an avatar. You can be a giraffe, a panda bear, or you can make your avatar look like you. And once you feel comfortable, you just need to talk and we just need to have a conversation. You could do it live or you could do it recorded. And it's a great way. Start working with someone and talk to somebody. And this is, so we had a great success with that. We were able to get people on the camera. We got some people to come on live. And some of the people are still with me to this day, getting on camera and comfortable coming in the room and chatting and feeling the engagement, because nobody is more detached than when you're in your a very traumatic situation and you're recovering from that, and it can still be innate in your life depending on your situation. And part of that healing is to be able to tell your story. So if you have a business and you're in there 3 to 5 years, and our this is where our clients kind of merge, is the over 40 entrepreneurs, right, Colleen? And you're ready. This is the year to get out there and to make it as easy as possible. And why is the tech good now? Why is it good to use tech? Because it's simple to use. And when you have somebody that can run all those systems for you, then you can be there. You don't have to worry about it. You just have to know enough to say, hey, okay, this is working. I like this. Be involved. But you don't have to read all the books. You don't have to go and do all the research. You want to know enough that you can make an intelligent decision, but you don't have to, learn the whole system, because that's just another stress for you. So it's that trust factor, and coming in there and saying, hey, I can get on the stage. I can turn on this camera. I can come in and I can tell my story that's about me, my business, what works for me. And that's what people want to hear. You can have all the motivational speakers that you want, but I'm finding in more and more summits, especially for entrepreneurs and business owners, it's more about the benefits and what you can do for me. Give them what they want and that they pay for. And then as added value, you're going to give them what they need to succeed, and really share that. I think that's the most important thing, is is to make sure that you're working with an aligned audience, that you're sharing that message, and it's your message, not what Tony Robbins said, not what Lisa Nichols said, not what they said at Mind Valley. Um, you may want to quote them or refer to that in some part of your messaging, but it needs to be your experience, and start to honor yourself. And I think that's really on a soul-led level. And as a leader in any factor, you want to, you know your experience the best, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Nicole, that part of this is I'm a numbers person. I've been doing building businesses for a long time. And so when I was on your summit, The Great Escape, I believe, and then I hired you to host a summit for me. I wanted to own my stage. I wanted to choose my speakers because I was presenting my membership group. And so I had very specific speakers in mind. I wanted to hire or contract with people for sponsorships. At the end of the day, comparing this with Facebook ads, I think that the cost was $1 a lead for me. After my speaker fees and after the sponsorship fees and things like that, that people paid me, then I think my cost was $1 a lead, which is a lot less than the Facebook ads. And also, the fact that you were the one herding the cats, you were the one struggling with the tech. I didn't do any of that. You told me what dress to put on and where to show up, and that's what I did. And for me as an entrepreneur, being able to focus on what I'm good at, being able to stay in my lane of genius and share my business the way I wanted to while you were shining for my business by hosting the summit, that was the perfect ideal situation for me. And so people should know coming into this that the multiple ways that you can work with Nicole, she can host the entire thing for you. She can do all of it for you. You don't have to do anything except show up. But when I did it, I put a little more play in it. And I think I spoke on 3 days, once each day of the summit for myself, because it was my membership. But you can just show up when you want, or you can just sign on to be a speaker on somebody else's summit. And then you just show up and share your business and your story. So there are multiple ways to work with her that way. And so that's the important thing. And we want you guys to walk away from that, away from this week, just realizing that building consistency without losing authority, changing those conversations, having warm, nurturing conversations that build relationships and aren't salesy. These are just steps in the process, but it is the whole process. You need to start at the beginning, getting seen and heard on stages and summits, make sure that your back office is situated, using your content correctly, and then working it through your workflow so that you can continue to shine and grow your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We want to make sure that it's consistency and that you have outreach so you're not stressed, and not understanding what doesn't happen. So it's really streamlining and the clarity, and that brings confidence. And that's that trust and faith that it'll happen, and that that you're changing. So start tracking that. What is good today? What worked for me today? What didn't work for me today? So tomorrow, when you're writing down your calendar, you've got it set and you're focused on the change. So we'll see you guys next week, Monday morning business foreplay for Colleen. It is 10 Eastern. And then after that, it's caffeinated conversations. I almost forgot what it was. I was putting the link in here and I'm like, what did I just put in there? So it's caffeinated conversations. We want to see you for networking. It's a shotgun style rapid networking. It's 11 a.m. Eastern. And all the times are in there on the links. We've got everything set for you. We want to share with you. Then the Voice Lab comes at you Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10, and Wednesdays is a Pain Point podcast. Business solutions, virtual business solutions for you and your clients, so you can have that clarity and that confidence. All right, we'll see you. Bye bye.